I'm Andy Hopp, and you're watching Play Unplugged TV. Oh yeah! And wait, if I ever see you on the street, you're going down, mister. Down!
This is Robert Andy with PlayUnplugged.com, and I'm here with Andy Hopp, who is just about, you're now a decade in game art, correct?
That is correct.
Unbelievable, a decade in game art. Those of you out there watching who are familiar with the Wanderer's Guides or Low Life, Wanderer's Guild, I apologize, Wanderer's Guild or Low Life, will be familiar with Andy Hopp's art, or recently the Where the Deep Ones Are children's book.
That is also correct.
So, Andy, can you tell me a little bit about, like, so you have a wonderful and weird art style. And
what are you trying to say?
You know, I was going to ask you before the interview, actually, whether you'd be okay with me calling it weird, but it's delightfully weird.
Yes.
It's like,
I'm going to make this as hard as for you as possible.
That's okay. You're dead. I don't mind. I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
So, you have this wonderful weird art style.
Okay.
What's going on in your head when you do art? I'm almost scared to ask this question. I'm like, this was the question. I was going over it with my friends, and I was like, this is the most terrifying question. What's going on in Andy Hopp's mind?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is that a good answer? No. Okay. Weirdness is what's going on in Andy Hopp's head. I don't usually refer to myself in the third person, but since you asked the question that way, that's a very good question, one that requires some thought on my part. So I'm going to ponder for 3 seconds. You can time me, and then I'll give you an answer. That's way more than 3 seconds.
Okay. I'm being generous. I'm being very generous. No, you were generous for coming here, so I'm generous. I'm trying to be generous.
Oh, shucks. I love you. Honestly, I don't have an answer for that. I understand that I'm weird. You said wonderful, not me, but I'll take the compliment. And, I like to do something a little different from everybody else. I don't normally do dragons and fairies and stuff like that unless I'm being paid enough to do so. But, I just like to do something different. And I can't explain how my brain works. It just goes in those certain directions.
So who would you say then, do you have any influences? Are there people's, when you were working on when you were perfecting your art, like, who are the people who inspired you?
I wouldn't say I was ever perfecting my art. I don't think I'm to the point yet where I would say that it's perfected. But tons of influences. There's some obvious ones, I think, like Dr. Seuss and Alicia over there. And, people like that. There's a lot of gaming artists like Tony Dieterlisi, who's awesome, and I think, was definitely an influence on me. Arnie Sweckel, Jeff Easley, all those people. There's certain people, like I'd say Jeff Easley is the person whose art I looked at from 2nd edition D&D, and I was like, that guy's art is weird enough, it's not mainstream dragons and fairies and stuff, that I might be able to do this as a job.
I think it's interesting that you brought up Dieterlisi, because he's also another artist that I love, and I see some Dieterlisi influence in your work, definitely.
I take that as a compliment. He's also a heck of a guy. So if you say that my personality's like his as well, I'll take that as a compliment. Go ahead and say it.
Well, if you can secure me an interview with him, then I will say that.
I'll do what I can. Tony, can Enrico have an interview? Yes, he can. Okay. He doesn't sound like that.
So let's go on. Let's talk a little bit about Low Life. Low Life was like, so the Wanderers Guild was awesome, and then like Low Life comes out, and it's really cool. It's a beautiful Savage Worlds rule system, hardbound. What was the process of getting that done? Like, were you talking personally with Shane Hensley? Like, how did that all work out?
Well, okay, the thing about Shane, first of all, Shane, hello, if you're watching this, Shane is an awesome guy, and he's really into giving people creative control over their own creativity. And apparently Shane was a fan of my art from previous projects, and he just kind of came to me and said, hey, I want you to do a book for me about anything you want. Pretty much that was the gist of it. And I said, can I write it too? And I sent him some writing samples, and he said, wow, you write just like you draw. So he said, absolutely. And that was pretty much it. I said, what rating does it have? He said, let's keep it PG-13. So there's some butts in it, ladies and guys that are into butts.
A whole town, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a whole town well, we won't get into too much detail. But anyway, the concept behind Low Life was originally it started out way back in the day. I was going to do a Wanderers Guild guide to like slimes and molds and things and call it Low Life because, the lowest of life forms. Mm-hmm. Then I came up with the idea of an actual setting that would take place in like sewers and your drain and stuff like that. And that's what a low life was originally going to be. Then it just kind of evolved into like a whole post-apocalyptic future of Earth where everything was evolved from cockroaches and Twinkies and worms and various new creatures that will be out this October in the new low life book.
Awesome.
How
Now,
stupid does it look like when I go, like, is that something we should edit out, or is it really cool?
no way am I editing it out.
Okay.
So my next question, and you would perfectly lead to my next question, which is, if we were in the post-apocalyptic world of low life, and you sprang up out of the primordial ooze, what would you be? I'd like to
Now-
think that I'm a cream-fillion,
I
but
would like to think that you're a cream fillion too. But now, are you saying I have a choice in the matter? Or,
I'm saying if you can do either one. I think it's I'm not 100% sure that my personality totally fits a cream fillion, but I love them so much that I would prefer to be a cream fillion.
Fair enough.
However, I open the question either way. Do you feel you could go one way or the other?
I think if I could choose any of them, probably just a worm, because they're more versatile. And incidentally, it's pronounced with a derisive sneer, like worm, not like worm or worm. It's worm or worm, like that. In case you were wondering. So anyway, but I'm going to say
The mysteries of low life revealed.
No, well, I like worms because they're versatile and they're easy to draw, because they're just like starfish or something. But I really dig piles personally, because not because they're made out of poo, because they're not necessarily. But I just kind of like they have a mix of like big burliness and lovable cuddliness at the same time. If you're into cuddling with big giant balls of poo, which some people are, don't knock them.
I've heard. I mean, the internet.
Yeah. But actually, while we're on the subject of low life and poo, if I may, low life is not, if you're wondering, all about poo. See, that's a little mistake I think that Shane made when we first announced the set. It said something like, "Have you ever wanted to play as a sentient ball of poo?" or something like that. So then all of a sudden everyone's like, "A game about balls of poo? That's so childish. We're not going to buy it. Boo, hiss, what a stupid idea." And it's not about that at all. It's just an option. But the thing that happened is when I started playing it at cons and stuff, everybody wanted to play poo because they heard that you could do it.
I think there's that speaks to a
it
certain
was like-
fascination of human beings.
I know, but it was
With
like
their own
all these
excrement.
like teenage girls and stuff. I'm like, okay, so you can play a cream fillion or a croach or whatever, and like we want to be the poo. And then I'm like, okay, so you're in a certain scenario. What do you want to do? And like, we cast wall of diarrhea. I'm like, that's not even part of the game. But apparently, all the people who are too good for like poo jokes, they're the ones that's like secret closet poo lovers. I know who you are.
So, one of the things that's great about like Savage Worlds, the system is that you can represent stuff pretty well on the table and move stuff around the way the system's designed. And I thought it was really great that you also put out some paper fold up
Low-life
miniatures
figure
that you
flats.
can actually these figure flat miniatures that you can get through the Mother Oith site.
That's correct. MotherOithCreations.com. You can get low-life figure flats. Also, Armorcast, the friendly folks at Armorcast, are making a line of low-life miniatures cast in pewter.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask that if you were going to do that. I had no idea.
far-
That's tremendous.
Yes, so far we have Uncto the Thrust, a creamfillion Diesel freak. I actually have one back at the art show if you want it. I'll give it to you for free. Not you. You.
Well, Andy, I actually, though I consider it more of a craft than an art because it's more like a technique that you do over and over again. I paint lots of miniatures. I love painting miniatures, so this will be fun.
Awesome. Also, there's supposed to be a whole line of them with a bunch of different characters and stuff. It's a little slow process because, such things are, but they should be soon. And since there's a new low-life book coming out in October, which is the whole Volume 1, Keister Island, which is all about Keister Island. Anyway, it's cool. It's 200 pages, full color. It's going to be awesome. Everyone needs to buy it so I can feed my kids. Man, I got 5 mouths to feed.
That's a lot.
I really have 5 mouths, but Benny on Total Recall said it.
Well, I mean, theoretically, or we don't know.
Well, I have two.
If you've been,
4 mouths.
but yeah, but
Pets. I have pets.
well, not
I have 42 mouths to feed.
But Andy, if you were brought to us from another dimension, you might have a mouth we don't even know about.
Just for the record, I'm not from another dimension. Or am I?
That's what a person from another dimension would say.
Unless they were the kind of person from another dimension that liked to advertise the fact that they were from another dimension.
I guess you got me there.
I'm from the dimension of not length, width, or height, or depth, or time, but I'm from the dimension of what other are there?
Who?
No.
Who?
Well, okay, fine. I'll take it.
Dementalism.
Dementalism.
Saw
That's
it on
a card game.
Saw it on the site, but I'm not familiar with it. Can you talk about
That's
that?
because feet have been dragged when it comes to dementalism. I'm not saying whose feet, but there have been feet dragged, and the game has not been out yet. However, that's been felicitous, if I may use a word that starts with F, in that, and also auspicious, because I'm now releasing the game in color, my own bad self, instead of going through another publisher. So look for that sometime next year. Color, low-life card game that doesn't just recycle the art from the original low-life game.
That sounds very exciting.
Instead, it recycles the art from the Keister Island book.
Last thing I want to ask you about, Con on the Cob. Tell me about it.
If Con on the Cob is not the most thing you ever did, most fun, I left a word out there.
Most thing.
We're going to have to rewind, or if you don't actually want to go through the trouble of editing it, excuse me, people listening at home or watching at home or anywhere else you are, rewind a second, ignore the last 32 seconds, and listen to this right now. Okay, if Con on the Cob is not the most fun thing you've ever done in your entire life, with or without clothing, you can punch me in the stomach. There, I've said it on TV or computer or whatever you're watching this on. It is the most fun thing. October 13th through 16th, Hudson, Ohio. It's worth the trip, no matter where you are, unless you live in Antarctica. Also, what else do I say about it? That's all. I mean, once you've gone to the superlative of it's the most fun thing, why would you then trickle down and say all the little things?
I think it's amazing that you put your stomach where your mouth is.
Well, you know, I can handle a punch or two, but I said that last year, and I've never been punched. So take that at face value.
Can you give a quick plug for that, for the website? Where can people find out information about Con on the Cob?
That's a very good idea. Now, this is kind of tricky, so, okay. It's called Con on the Cob. The website, now, pay attention to this because it's really difficult. www dot, now the dot is the period on your keyboard, cononthecob.com.
All one word?
It's tough, all one word. And here's the thing that everyone gets wrong. It's con on the cob as in a corn cob, not a Cobb salad. There's only one B in the word cob. I know you were going to write it with two. No, not you, the guy behind you was going to write it with a B, two of them, but there's only one. Okay. cononthecob.com.
And where can we find some more great stuff about low life and all the things that are going on Oith?
The best place to do that is to just friend me on Facebook, because my name is Andy Hopp, and just go on Facebook and type in my name. Because I have a website, which is motheroithcreations.com, but I'm really bad about updating it because I'm a busy guy. Or I'm lazy. I can't tell which.
Completely understandable. Andy, amazing interview. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Oh my God.